Penguins are entirely found in the southern hemisphere. Penguins are a species of aquatic, flightless birds that have evolved to live in the water. Long-lived animals, penguins return to the land to reproduce in dense colonies. After laying 1 or 2 eggs, the chicks need several months to grow up. The majority of penguins consume fish, squid, and krill that they catch while submerged in water. The emperor penguin is the only species that breeds on sea ice through the bitter Antarctic winter. Penguins are capable of really deep diving. In the vicinity of McMurdo Sound, an emperor penguin female dove to a depth of 535 meters, 1,755 feet. Penguins are particularly vulnerable to changes in the climate. 60% of the 18 penguin species are classified as vulnerable or endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and one of the most often proposed reasons for population reduction is the effect of climate change on the food web and habitat. There is a sharp reduction in even abundant species, such as the macaroni penguins. The availability and quality of breeding and feeding habitats for various penguin species in Antarctica have changed due to sea ice changes. Climate variations, including sea surface temperature and global climate oscillations like the El Niño Southern Oscillation, have also had an impact on temperate penguin species. The only birds that are able to swim but not fly are penguins. These seagulls, which are black and white, glide across the water with great ease. When on land, they waddle around while standing erect. Penguin habitat. Rewind, subscriber feature, read aloud. Play/stop. Subscriber feature, read aloud. Fast forward while reading aloud. Subscriber feature. Penguins come in 18 species or varieties. The southern half of the globe is where they are mostly found. Numerous varieties can be found on adjacent islands or in the chilly parts of Antarctica. Along the chilly beaches of Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and South America, penguins can also be found. Off the coast of Ecuador, in a warm area, resides the Galapagos penguin. Physical attributes. Rewind, subscriber feature, read aloud. Play/stop, subscriber feature, read aloud. Fast forward while reading aloud, subscriber feature. Typically, a penguin's belly is white and its back is black. The height of the various varieties varies from roughly 14 to 45 inches, 36 to 114 centimeters. The emperor penguin, which weighs roughly 80 pounds, 36 kilograms, is the largest variety. Penguins are superb divers and swimmers. They are able to swim above 25 miles per hour, 40 kilometers per hour. Penguins swim using their little, paddle-like wings as flippers. Their bodies resemble torpedoes, and their feet are webbed. Despite having tiny legs, penguins can move quite swiftly. A penguin may glide across ice and snow by slicking its belly. A penguin's short feathers cover almost its entire body. Warm air is trapped against the skin, and wetness is kept away by the feathers. This bird also shields itself from the cold with a thick covering of fat. Actions. Rewind, subscriber feature, read aloud. Play/stop, subscriber feature, read aloud. Fast forward while reading aloud, subscriber feature. Penguins dive for food, usually small marine animals. Various species feed on krill, which are shrimp-like creatures, squid, and tiny fish. Nesting colonies are large groups of penguins that breed together. Certain species cover great distances to arrive at their breeding grounds. Every year, they might go back to the same nesting location. Penguins are reliant on consistent areas of high ocean production, where their prey congregates from the tropics to Antarctica. Penguins are being impacted by rising precipitation and shrinking sea ice due to global warming. About 200,000 breeding pairs were present in October 2006 in Ponatombo, Argentina, the site of the biggest breeding colony of Patagonian, Magellanic penguins, a 22% decrease from 1987. Petroleum contamination was a major cause of death for Patagonian penguins in the 1980s and 1990s. After tanker lanes were shifted 40 km off Djibouti's coast in 1994, ballast water dumping and oiling of penguins have become uncommon occurrences. But compared to 10 years ago, penguins are swimming 60 kilometers further north from their nests during incubation, probably due to changes in prey as a result of both decreases in prey abundance brought on by industrial fishing and climate change. These species of temperate penguins, marine guardians of the southern oceans, show that their numbers are facing new difficulties. Researchers can gain insight into the type and pace of changes taking place in the southern oceans by observing and researching penguins, which serve as sentinels of the marine ecosystem. Penguins serve as ocean samplers, offering valuable insights regarding long-term climatic fluctuation and patterns of regional ocean production. I have spent more than 30 years studying many kinds of temperate penguins, so I can attest to their sensitivity to their surroundings. I summarize my findings to propose that, for marine systems, we have entered a new era of never-before-seen difficulties. The Antarctic Treaty safeguards Antarctica's living resources, while the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora governs trade in endangered species, such as the African Spheniscus demersus and Peruvian Spheniscus humboldti penguins. 10 out of 17 penguin species are considered vulnerable to extinction by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. But legislative safeguards haven't been enough to stop the decrease of penguin populations. Penguins encounter numerous environmental obstacles, such as climate change and human encroachment. Only half of the 50,000 breeding pairs of erect-crested penguins, Eudiptes sclatteri, that bred on the Antipodes Islands, more than 800 km from the South Island of New Zealand, existed in 1995, Pete 2006. Because they are most likely to clash with human activities like commercial fishing, guano mining, and oil and gas development, temperate penguins and inshore foragers like the yellow-eyed Megadips antipodes and African penguins are in decline. Boersma and Stokes 1995, Davis and Renner 2003. There are, nevertheless, successful cases. In certain regions of New Zealand, penguin populations started to rise once invasive predators were eradicated. For example, more than 11,000 hectares of Campbell Island, the largest island in the world to successfully remove rats, are free of the rodent population. The island was declared rat-free in 2003, which is important to the uncommon native yellow-eyed penguin, Pete 2006. Campbell Island used to be home to erect-crested penguins, who may now return as rats have been eradicated from the island. The little blue penguin, Eudiptula minor, saw a rise in population on the South Island of New Zealand and in Australia following the installation of nesting boxes and the capture of predators. As a result, new ecotourism businesses catering exclusively to penguins began to appear. On the other side, large breeding colonies of penguins are the ones that are least protected yet are most desired by tourists. The number of penguin hotspots in the world where at least 1% of the total population gathers to breed is currently down to 43, Figure 1. Boersma and Van Buren 2003. Big colonies are necessary for the survival and well-being of any penguin species. Even though penguin populations at these 43 locations are rarely, if ever, counted, understanding their state and trends would provide insight into the diversity and resilience of ocean ecosystems. Surveys of the penguin population, which occurs twice a decade, can be used to forecast the Southern Ocean state. Ideally, one should visit each colony once a year to determine the following 6 sentinel parameters and inability to reproduce, modifications to breeding phenology, adult mortality, eating habits, success in reproduction, and changes in range and demographics. Unfortunately, it hasn't even been 10 years since most of these colonies were counted. Since most of the large colonies that have been counted more than once have done so at different times during the breeding cycle, the population trends of the bulk of these colonies remain unclear. As a matter of reality, most sentinel parameters remain unknown. Approximately 55 million years ago is when it first appeared, Fordyce and Jones, 1990. The number of identified species can be increased by using population genetic methods to identify variations that are not readily obvious. Banks et al. 2006. The evolutionary relationship can be represented as a family tree with 5 different branches by determining divergence times among species and using both genomic and morphological methods, Davis and Renner 2003. The recent radiation of 4 species of Spheniscus penguins, which live in temperate regions in mid to low latitudes, is seen in one of these branches. These species are reasonably easily studied because they spawn in coastal deserts on the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The most northerly species of penguins, the Galapagos Spheniscus mandiculus, nests in shadowed clefts, fractures, and lava tubes of the Galapagos Islands. There is little scientific data on trends in penguin population sizes. We have limited systematic counts of colonies, but we do know that many species and colonies are probably declining. The data required to ascertain the status and trend of every penguin species will be obtained by methodically monitoring the 43 penguin aggregations across the globe. Scientists might use this knowledge to pinpoint problem areas and take action before populations collapse. Penguins' lot in life is not going to get any easier. They must endure changes in the climate, as well as advancements made by humans. As their breeding area is claimed by coastal development, they might not be able to follow their food, or their food source might decrease as fishers take an increasing amount of their prey. Changes in climate are expected to cause a shift in the type of prey, lower productivity, and increased hardship for penguins' pollution, and shifts in the distribution and amount of their prey. In the largest colony of this species, a 10% reduction per 10 years is just not sustainable. Penguin population fluctuations are a reflection of the swift changes occurring in the maritime environment and demonstrate how poorly humans are controlling the seas. The world we live in, the direction of evolution, and the species we coexist with are all changing due to human activity. Can humans adapt to let other species survive and coexist? Is it really possible for us to manage ourselves, and will we want to? This is all for now. Do like, share, and subscribe our channel. We will be back with more information. Stick around. Thank you for watching this video.